When you think about Japanese folklore, sure, samurai and dragons come to mind, but there's this other figure, one that really captures the complexity, the magic of it all, the kitsune.
Oh, absolutely. It's so much more than just a fox. It's really a supernatural force, a yukai.
A yukai, right.
Immensely intelligent, magical,
Yeah.
capable of being divine messengers one minute and, well, terrifying tricksters the next. You even see them on old Obate Karuta, those monster cards. They were really quite central.
So our aim here is to get into the fascinating details about them. We want to explore their shape-shifting, their sacred roles, and those really strange beliefs about love and even possession that surrounded them for centuries. Getting to those aha moments.
Where should we start? The core identity.
What is a kitsune?
Well, at its heart, a kitsune is a fox spirit. What sets it apart is its intelligence and its magic, and crucially, both of these grow with age. The older the fox, the more powerful it becomes. That's sort of the baseline.
And this magic, it's not just one thing, is it? There are specific terms like Bakeru and Bakasu.
That's right. Bakaru is about the transformation itself, changing shape, changing appearance. Think fox becoming a person.
Okay, the physical change.
Exactly. But bakasu, that's more about the effect. It means to beguile, to bewitch, to trick. It's tied to the idea of bakemono, specters, things that deceive the senses.
So Bakeru is the how, Bakasu is the what happens to you.
Precisely. The fox isn't just changing its form, it's messing with your reality. The classic example, leading travelers astray, making them completely lose their way, especially out in the mountains after dark. It's a psychological trickery first.
And this power, this accumulated magic, it shows physically, right? With the tails.
Yes, the tails are the visible measure. More tails equal more age, more power. Usually you hear about 1, 5, 7, or the ultimate, 9 tails.
9 tails, that feels significant.
It is. Some stories say a fox needs to live for a whole century just to grow 1 extra tail. Imagine reaching 9.
And the 9-tailed fox, the Kubi no Kitsune, that connects beyond Japan, doesn't it?
It does. It links directly to older myths from China, actually. There, a fox that lives 1,000 years can ascend and become a tinko,
A tenka.
a celestial fox, often depicted as gold or pure white. These are beings that have almost reached divinity, incredibly wise, incredibly powerful, the absolute pinnacle.
Before we get too celestial, though, let's talk about the name itself, Kitsune. Where does that come from?
It's interesting, the full linguistic origin is a bit hazy, but the folk etymology, the story people told about the name, is maybe more revealing about how they were seen.
Okay.
There's a great tale in the Nihon Richi, which is a really early collection of Buddhist stories from around the 9th century.
Ah, the source for some of those first fox wife stories.
Exactly that one. So in this story, a man marries a woman who turns out to be a fox. When her identity is revealed by the family dog, she has to flee. But as she leaves, she tells her husband she'll return each night to sleep with him. So he calls out to her, Kitsune. It's interpreted maybe playfully as, come and sleep, or even always comes.
Huh. So the name itself is tied to this idea of return, of connection, even after being revealed as non-human.
It suggests this certain loyalty or perhaps inevitability, which, funnily enough, leads us quite nicely into their sacred side, their link to Inari.
The Shinto kami of rice, that connection is huge.
Immense. They're known as Inari's messengers. But, the lines blur. Sometimes Inari Ishami, the deity itself, is shown as a fox.
Why foxes, though? What was the initial connection to rice?
Well, think practically. Foxes hunt rodents, rats and mice that would otherwise eat the rice harvest.
Ah, so it started as basic pest control appreciation.
Pretty much. Scholars think there was likely an older folk practice where farmers just, acknowledged the help foxes provided. Then, over time, especially with religious mixing, this evolved. The fox became the official divine helper for the god of the harvest.
And these divine foxes, the good ones associated with Inari, they're usually white, right? The byakko.
Correct. White foxes are seen as a good omen, protectors. They stand in contrast to the, let's say, more troublesome wild foxes, the nojitsune.
Zenko versus Yako, the good versus the wild or field foxes.
Exactly. Zenko are the good ones, sometimes described as gold, silver, white, black, even celestial. Yako are the wild ones, the potential troublemakers. But it's important to remember this neat division, good versus bad.
Yeah.
That was often something imposed later by scholars or religious figures trying to categorize things. For the average person in a village, any fox was likely seen as powerful, capable of both help and harm, depending on how you treated it. It wasn't always so black and white.
Okay, that makes sense. Now, we absolutely have to talk about the food connection. Kitsune odidon, kitsune soba.
Ah, yes. Probably the most common way people encounter the Kitsune connection today, even if they don't realize it. The noodles topped with abura age, that's deep-fried tofu.
Because fried tofu is their favorite food.
It's considered the preferred offering for Inari and the foxes. It's sweet, it's oily, a treat.
But I read somewhere the original favorite food was something less appetizing.
Yes. Historically, the belief was that what foxes really loved was Nezumi no abura age,
Which is,
oil-fried mice.
right, not quite the same as
Not
tofu.
quite. It sounds gruesome, but it was apparently very effective bait. There's even a famous Kijigin play, Tsurugitsune, where this sophisticated old fox spirit just loses its mind because it smells the bait, the fried mice. He couldn't resist.
So how did we get from fried mice to fried tofu? That's quite a jump.
It probably happened gradually. As Buddhism became more influential, vegetarian offerings became more common at shrines. Tofu, made from soybeans, was readily available, respectable, much cleaner.
And easier to offer than catching and frying mice, I imagine.
Well, quite. So the abur age became the convenient, acceptable substitute for the fox's original greasy preference.
This blending of beliefs, it wasn't just Shinto, right? Kitsune appear in Buddhism too.
They do, specifically with the deity Daikainitsun,
Bakina.
often shown riding a flying white fox, sometimes holding a sword. It really shows how integrated the fox became. It wasn't just a minor spirit. It was seen as a powerful mount, carrying divinity.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit. Back to the trickster side. Why those specific kinds of tricks? The really humiliating ones, or the ones involving food, or just leading people completely off track?
It's a good question. I think the tricks often target things like human vanity, our trust in appearances, or even basic needs. Remember, the fox's power is Bakasu illusion, bewitchment.
So they're attacking our certainty.
Exactly. Making you doubt your own senses. Like the stories of people being tricked into taking a bath in, well, a manure pit thinking it's a hot spring.
Or eating horse dung, believing it's a fancy rice cake, a mochi. I think that one shows up in literature.
It does. And then there's the leaf money trick. This one targets greed.
How does that work?
The fox uses its magic to make ordinary leaves or twigs or just bits of junk look like real money. Cold coins, paper bills. The victim thinks they've hit the jackpot until the illusion fades. And they look in their wallet and just find a pile of leaves. A kind of cruel lesson about materialism.
So, if they're capable of these illusions and changing shape, how does the shape shifting the bakeru actually work? Is there a ritual?
Often, yes. First, they usually need to be old enough that 100-year mark again, sometimes 50 in certain tales. Then, the classic image involves placing something on its head.
Like a leaf.
A big leaf is common, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Or reeds. Sometimes even a human skull, which is quite macabre. Then they might do a specific action, like a flip, or run around a tree to complete the transformation.
But the disguise isn't perfect, is it? There are ways to tell.
Always. That's part of the drama in the stories. The most famous giveaway is the tail.
They forget to hide it.
Sometimes, yes.
Yeah.
Especially if they get careless, maybe a bit drunk, or you might see their shadow. It might still look like a fox. But the absolute classic, tense, uncontrollable fear of dogs. A sudden bark can make them lose focus and pop back into fox form.
Which brings us to maybe the most famous transformation. The fox wife. Taking the form of a beautiful woman.
This is such a powerful recurring theme. That Nihon Raichiki story we mentioned earlier, that's one of the earliest examples. The man from Minano province marries this lovely woman. They have a child.
Until the dog outs her.
Right. The dog shatters the illusion. It's often quite tragic. But the story doesn't always end there. Remember the Kitsune meaning. Always comes.
She promised to return.
Yes. And sometimes the child born of that union inherits something special. The most legendary example is Kuzunoha.
The mother of Amnosime.
The very same. Kuzunoha was a white fox who married a human. Their son, Amnosime, became this incredibly famous astrologer, almost a magician, in the Heian period. His extraordinary abilities were said to come directly from his half-fox heritage.
Wow. So the connection could be generative, not just deceptive. Okay, let's look at their other powers. Pure magic, like Kitsumobi, foxfire.
Kitsunebi. It's essentially a magical light, like a will-o'-the-wisp. The stories say they can create it by striking their tail on the ground, or stroking it, or sometimes just breathing fire.
And its purpose.
Mostly misdirection, leading travelers astray, making them see lights where there shouldn't be any. It's the bakasu, the illusion, made visible as fire.
Then there's the tama, the fox jewel. That seems really important.
Oh, it's absolutely crucial. Possibly the most vital thing a kitsune possesses. It's usually described as a round, white, luminous object, Sometimes they keep it in their tail, sometimes they hold it.
And it's the source of their power.
It's essential for their magic, yes, even for transformation. And in many tales, the tama actually represents the fox's soul.
Its soul. Okay, that raises the stakes considerably.
It does. If a human gets hold of the tama, they have immense power over the fox. They can force it to do things, because without the jewel, the fox weakens, might even die. It becomes a major plot device. You see it often in art, too, with Inari's foxes or on Dekanaiden's mount.
Which brings us to the darkest aspect, perhaps. Kitsunetsuki. Possession.
Yes, spiritual possession by a fox. This belief was incredibly widespread, documented since the Heian period, really, and found all over Japan. People believed a fox could literally enter a person's body.
Causing what kind of symptoms?
Well, things like speaking in strange voices or suddenly craving foods foxes like rice, fried tofu, sometimes erratic behavior, or even developing that telltale fear of dogs.
When did people start to question this, to look for other explanations?
That really gained momentum in the 19th century, especially during the Meiji era, with modernization. Japan started importing Western ideas about medicine and psychology.
So they tried to explain it clinically.
Exactly. Doctors and authorities started framing Kitsunetsuki as a form of mental illness. But
The belief didn't just disappear overnight.
not at all, especially in rural areas. It remained a valid way to understand sudden illness or bizarre changes in personality. It provided a framework. And related to this was the idea of kitsuneroji.
Fox owners, people who controlled these spirits.
That's the belief. Families thought to possess and control tiny, often invisible fox spirits, like the Kitsune, the tube fox, supposedly small enough to live in a bamboo tube,
And they used them. How?
to gain wealth, supposedly, or maybe curse enemies. But these families were deeply feared and often ostracized by their communities. People worried about the power they wielded. What might happen if those spirits got loose?
So we've journeyed from these almost divine nine-tailed beings through sacred messengers helping with the harvest, complex figures like the fox wife, down to these tiny feared spirits in a tube. The range is just incredible.
It really is. And the kitsune's staying power really highlights how folklore works, doesn't it? It gives explanations for things that seem inexplicable. A sudden illness, kitsunetsuki, strange weather, like sunshine during rain.
Kitsune no Yomeri, the fox's wedding procession.
Exactly. The fox offered a narrative for the mysterious corners of life.
So as a final thought for you, our listeners, to consider, think about that old game, Kitsune-ken, Fox Fist.
Ah yes, the hand game. It lays out a social hierarchy of power and deception quite neatly. The village headman, representing authority, beats the hunter. The hunter, with his weapon, beats the fox. The fox, with his power to bewitch, beats the headman. Authority can be blinded by illusion, but vigilance, the hunter, can see through it.
It makes you think, doesn't it? What are the modern hunters we need? What kind of clear thinking? What critical tools do we need today to see past the illusions, the powerful, sometimes bewitching forces that shape our own world?